Hey geeks, welcome back to the channel. Do you like Greek mythology inspired dolls? Do you want to see how I created this beautiful Medusa doll step by step? Well, follow along, cause I'm about to start. The first thing I need is a doll base. I chose this off-brand AliExpress head because even if they look weird, I already customized one on a past video and they look awesome once repainted. I will combine it and make it a hybrid with a Disney descendant girl body because they look really well together in proportions. I need to prepare the hair for the customizing process. I will open a hole in the crown of the head to have access to the eyes so I can replace them with prettier ones later on. Once done, I will get rid of the legs, cause we don't need them. I made this off camera cause it was kinda hardcore. Then, using a Dremel-like tool, I open a hole so we can insert a thick wire through it, to make the snake tail armature. Here you can see how I braided the wire and I secured it to the body using hot glue. Now using tin foil, I'm going to create the base shape of the snake tail. This will save me tons of epoxy, and also it will prevent the doll of being too heavy. Well, kind of. Just make the shape a little bit thinner, cause remember we will be sculpting over this surface. Play with proportions. Once done, it's time for the epoxy sculpt. It's been a while since I used mine for the last time. It looks kind of nasty, but I think one mix it will work okay. I guess I've been 3D printing too much lately, so I wanted to create most of this doll the traditional good old way. I'm not too worried of the shape right now cause I will be covering this in textures. This is just the first layer of epoxy for the structure to be solid as a rock before we proceed. The next day it's already cured and, as I said, as solid as a rock. So now let's create an amazing texture on this tail. Yes, I decided to make scale by scale. I really wanted a striking 3D texture on this doll, but even if it looks too hard, it was quite easy and relaxing. It was just to create tear-like shapes with my fingers and put them on the tail. Since it was just a repetitive process that didn't require too much thinking, I was really relaxed while doing it, just listening to music or listening to some videos on YouTube, you know. It took me 2 sits on the afternoon to finish the scales. Once done, I really love where this is going. I think I made the right decision. I'm loving all this aggressive texture drama, so let's make the ventral scales. The ventral scales will be just like the armature plates on the front and the tip of the tail. So now that I have all the tail completely sculpted, it's time for a paint job. I will be using just regular acrylic paint for this. First, I will be applying a green layer. I'm not too worried about how it looks right now. My main goal here is to cover all the epoxy surface. Once dry, then I will be applying several watered down black acrylic washes, just to make it darker and not so bright. Once dried and with a lighter green, I will be using the dry brush technique to bring all those 3D scales to the front. Always remember, the brush needs to be really dry to use this technique. Then it's time for the ventral scales that I will be painting in this ochre color. But while doing it, I will use this gold acrylic just cause I felt the scales were too matte for my taste, so I gave them a golden wash to create an iridescent effect. Then it's time to return and finish the ventral scales, darkening the corners to give the illusion of depth, and you know, more realistic. And here is the tail with all the paint job done. I have to say I'm really impressed with all the combination of these textures and the colors. Okay, so let's move on to the body. I always envisioned her with a much darker skin complexion, so I'm recoloring all the skin using acrylic paint. With this technique, there's always the risk of the paint chipping off the shoulders, but I will be using this ornament I got from a Wonder Woman doll. I love the pointy shoulder drama. So let's move on to the face-up. I will be using these green eyes I got from AliExpress. They were really cheap, just like $2. But they're so beautiful, oh my gosh. I really love this color combination. My main goal with this face-up is, first, to keep it simple, so I want her face to be like a moment of breathing between all those textures and complex designs going on her. And second, to try and conceal a little bit the tender cute expression of this face sculpt. I'm trying to give her a really quiet and mature expression, because more than a monster, I really want her to look like a queen. A beautiful and dangerous queen, indeed. I want her eyes to be the center of attention, cause if you remember some of the Greek myth, you could be turned into stone just by looking at her into her eyes. So, you know, more than the snakes and stuff, is her eyes what really made her deadly and dangerous. Well, there's different versions of the origins of Medusa. Some of them tell the story of a beautiful maiden that was unfairly punished by the goddess Athena by a crime she didn't commit. Actually, she was the victim, and she was punished by the goddess by being turned into that monster. Other ancient versions, way older, tell that Medusa was always like that. Then she and her sister were born as Gorgons. But regardless the story born a Gorgon or not, I still want to make her look regal and beautiful, yet intimidating. I still have some of these heads waiting to be customized. I really like her features once the factory paint is wiped off. I still don't have any plans for them, but I think I'm going to get a couple more because I really like customizing them, and I think they just look adorable, especially for magical girls or kawaii characters. They really make a great combo with the Disney Descendants bodies. In the end, I'm going to apply a little bit of golden micro pearl powder. It looks bold right now, but MSC will take care of that. I usually never give glossy lips to my dolls, but for some reasons I think it is really necessary on these girls, since they kind of look like authentic BJDs, in miniature. I'm also applying a little bit of on the waterlines. Okay, so now that the face-up is done, it's time to reunite the head and the body. And this part was so freaking scary. I was really afraid of ruining the paint job. I finally placed the eyes off camera, so the face is complete now. I'm really loving how deep and intense her gaze is. For the snakes on her hair, I 3D print them. This was a free model I got from Thingiverse and made some alterations to it. The tiara I modeled myself in Blender. For the paint job, I just made it in the same way I did for the tail, so I made this off camera. I also had a spare scepter that once belonged to Maleficent, so I decided to repaint it to match the whole aesthetic. I mean, a queen needs her scepter, right? I'm using foam clay to model a belt, like a waistband, I don't know. For the head, I wanted to give the same effect as in the tail, you know, those spiky scales. But instead of using epoxy, I'm making them with foam clay, cause epoxy is too heavy for the head. Then I'm gonna dry brush them in gold. I decided to sculpt on a bra and some bracelets. At some point I considered making actual fabric garments, but I just realized it really won't go with this doll's aesthetic, so I went with that golden metallic armor design. And I really felt that this was the perfect choice for her. I'm gluing a gem I made out of UV resin and glitter. Okay, so it's time to put this headdress together. First, the tiara. And then I'm gonna be gluing all the snakes on a symmetrical way. I want them to look like a crown. Like what people consider ugly is her major sign of power and strength. Her snakes are like her own crown. Oh my gosh, I really love the fact that this headdress is completely removable, just in case I want to have access to her eyes again. As one of the final touches, I'm adding some golden crystals here and there, you know, gold on gold on gold. And finally, I decided to darken the roots of the snakes a little bit. And now we are done. Let's enjoy Queen Medusa in her full glory. Thank you so much for joining me today. Also, I have good news. This is a collab, and as in every Halloween, you can enjoy plenty of dolls this season. So, don't forget to check the videos of Kiro's Workshop, H. Ali Craft, Mr. Super Customs, His Name is Akin, Moonlight Jewel, Enchanterium, Val Kitty's World, I Could Do That DIY, Feral Dolls, Dollumentary, Electric Bunny VT. Well, that was all for today. See you in my next video. Happy Halloween! Bye!